Hello, everyone. I'm Will Gaucher of the Paramount Veterans Network, and I'm an Army veteran. I served for 5 years in the United States Army as an infantry officer.
And I'm Kawanda Smith, a Navy veteran. I served 4 years in the U.S. Navy as a machinist mate, and we are pleased to welcome one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the Army-Navy game, Ricky Dobbs. Ricky set the NCAA record of rushing touchdowns by a quarterback with 27 in 2009. You finished your 3-year Navy career second all-time in scoring and amassed over 5,400 total yards. Ricky, thanks for joining us.
Thank you all for having me.
Oh, great, great. Well, Ricky, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Why did you join the service?
So first, I just want to start this. Hate to do it to you, Will, but go Navy, beat Army first and foremost.
Will you expect anything else?
Well, okay. So first, the service became an option for me being recruited to play football at the Naval Academy. I tip my hat off to Coach Brian Bohannon because he was persistent in his recruiting method, which was basically just putting the onuses on me. And he sent me like different stuff to research and just read about Navy and the opportunities beyond college and graduation. And that was one of the things that drew me in. And my final two schools that of all the scholarships I had to play football at were Navy and Georgia Tech. And I ended up choosing Navy because of the opportunities beyond football and the guarantees that service academies makes to all students and athletes. And I went on my college visit there, and Coach Paul Johnson asked me, and my parents were on either side of me, and he was like, "So after this weekend, how do you feel? Would you like to accept the offer to come here?" And then I said yes. And then both of my parents looked at me and was like, "Wait, thought we wasn't making no decision on this trip." I said, "No, this is home. This is where I want to be." So that is kind of how all roads led to Navy for me.
Kawanda, how about for yourself? Why did you join the service?
Well, for me, right out of high school, not being ready for college, I was like, I wanted to be purposeful, productive, and serve my country, and it was a great opportunity to see the world. And like Ricky said too, just getting some of those benefits. I'm like, I'm gonna also have money for school, so it was a win-win for me.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And my reasoning for joining the service is basically the same as you two, right? You're looking at the benefits portion of it, being dependent from my parents, as well as an opportunity to travel to see the world, to better myself as just a human being, which ultimately I feel like the military did for me.
I really want to touch on leadership, especially coming from a military perspective. So what does leadership mean to you, and what are some of the top traits of a leader?
I do believe that leaders can be born with the traits and charisma to be able to corral people, but I also believe by going to the Naval Academy, leaderships can be developed as well. Because it is a leadership institution. That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on as far as developing the leaders of the Navy and Marine Corps. I was able to go to the Naval Academy and fine tune my leadership skills and learn by watching and just adapting to certain situations. One of the top traits is being able to follow and being able to step back and take a back seat to be able to assess situations. I think patience is another trait because as a leader, you have to one of the things you have to learn um, is everybody is different. So you as a leader, you can't lead everybody the same way. You can be overall in general, but once you start breaking down individual leadership to some of your subordinates, you may have to adjust your leadership style, and you can't just be one way. And I think that's one of the another one of the top traits for leadership is that patience piece. And then being able to adapt is the other trait, adaptability.
Yes, I love adaptability. That'll save you in all situations. Thank you for that. That was some good insight. And so your military service overall after graduating, Ricky, tell us a little bit about how that was for you, what your career in the military looked like after that.
Um, I chose my service selection. I was a
Mhm.
surface warfare officer by
Okay.
trade when I left the Naval Academy. But I had the unique opportunity once I graduated. I went to the Naval Academy Preparatory School, back to where I started, and I was able to be a coach
Mm,
for the first semester. My ship selection, I chose the USS Oscar Austin. It's a DDG, DDG
mhm.
79. It's the first in its class of Flight 2 Alphas. That's one with 2 helo hangars. And I reported to that in Norfolk, Virginia in 2012. And while also, I was trying to go to the NFL and do things like that. So I had to do 2 years because I was initially told no, that I couldn't go straight out. Once I graduated, I had to do my 2 years first. So I went down to the Oscar Austin, did 2 years there, had a deployment, independent deployment to the coast of Somalia, doing counter piracy operations. And when I left the Oscar Austin, I went to a PC over in Bahrain, where I was the operations officer. So I was there for on a PC patrol coastal class ship. And it was a USS Sirocco. It was PC number 6. I was there from 2014 to 2016. And then when I left there, I came to the Naval Academy, and where I was a admissions counselor. Once I left the Naval Academy, I went back over into Bahrain, where I was a Tomahawk land attack missile mission planner and weaponeer. So I weaponeered targets and planned missions that the route that the Tomahawk missile take. Did that from 2018 to 2020. Then in 2020, I left there and came to Little Creek, Virginia, where I was the N3 Alpha, which is the assistant operations officer for Fibron staff, and Fibron 4 over on Little Creek, Virginia, where we were in charge of different class amphib ships, and we deployed with the Iwo Jima ARG and
Mm.
the 24th MEU of Marines. And the ships that were in there were um, the Iwo Jima, San Antonio, and the Carter Hall. And did that from 2020 to 2022. And in 2022, I transitioned from active duty into the reserves. And now I'm in the reserves, and my reserve unit is the Naval Forces Europe, Naval Forces Atlantic, Sixth Fleet, N3. And I'm a fires officer here, doing some of that same stuff with the TAM department, and which is where I am currently over here in Italy, supporting the Sixth Fleet staff with augmentees for everything that's going on with Israel.
I mean, seriously, that is an amazing, amazing career. I'm sure you had, made a lot of good relationships, a lot of good friends as well along the way. Because I know I met my best friend in the military and got to see the world. But I definitely want to say, definitely, since you made that sacrifice, you followed your gut, your intuition. Thank you for choosing Navy. We definitely appreciate your prior and continued service. And we're going to start talking about the game. I'm a big football fan, so we really want to know, what does this Army and Navy rivalry mean to you as an ex-player?
There's nothing like the Army Navy rivalry. It's nothing like the Army Navy game in itself. Definitely an experience, but the tension is always in the air, and it's not a bad tension. It's a good one because it embraces what a true rivalry is. And the reason why I say it's the best is because even though we don't like each other on that game day, we still have respect for each other. But other rivalries that you see that they try to say rivals the Army Navy, I think all of them have a true hatred for each other. But we know that we're brothers in arms after the game. But during the game, before the game, and after the game, we're always brothers. But during the game, hey, we strap it up, we go to war. But then afterwards, I'm able to shake their hand and talk to them. Coach Jasper, Ivan Jasper, explained it in a way that you have to be really, really ready mentally going into this game. because they've seen in his times coaching, he's seen players get there and they can't even remember their name because the
Oh, wow.
tension and everything is so high. In that situation, me as a player, it's like the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I thrive for the times like that. When the pressure's on, there was like the moments that I thrive for because my uncle instilled in me at a young age, that big time players make big time plays in big time games. And to me, that was a big time game. I was like ready for the stage.
Okay, Ricky, I love that motto. Can we get that one more time? Big time.
Big time players make big time plays in big time games or
Okay,
big time
that's
situations.
It's life coming full circle at you.
Yep,
And
yep.
now, Ricky, I'm gonna remain just a little bit hopeful here when asking you for a prediction for Saturday that you aren't totally going to. I'm just remaining hopeful here. Okay, so what do you think is gonna happen this Saturday?
Okay. You ain't have to put me on the spot like this. So I'll give you two answers.
Okay, okay.
From a Navy football fan and alumni, we gonna beat the dog crap out of you. But I did want to add also that both teams are 5-6, so the stakes are high because the winner becomes bowl eligible. So that just adds in another layer to this already intense game and atmosphere. So I'm gonna be tuned in at 9 p.m. on Saturday here in Italy with a gang of Navy football players with us that's out here. Marcel Gleaton, James Harris, Quasi Mitchell, to name a few. We're all out here. We're gonna be tuned in and cheering those boys on. So let's go Navy, beat Army. Good luck, you guys.
Well, we heard from Navy, but now it's time to get the Army side of the story. Let's welcome on one of the greatest quarterbacks in the storied rivalry, Army quarterback Trent Steelman. Trent, you were the first ever freshman to start quarterback for Army. You hold the record for rushing touchdowns at West Point. And number 8, we thank you for coming on and taking the time to talk to us.
No, I really appreciate y'all having me. Obviously, being too far removed now, it's always great to get on these types of venues and reminisce on the story. So thank you.
Of course, of course. And speaking of reminiscing on the story, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Why did you decide to play at Army?
It's it's kind of a longer story in itself how I ended up there, but coming out of high school, was not heavily recruited at all. Matter of fact, the only offer that I held was Army, and didn't really receive that until late um, of my spring semester of my senior year. And so I went through the process, really not knowing what the in state was going to be. In my young mind, I saw Division I football. I was a competitor and really had a mission to set out and prove a lot of people wrong. And so that's what kind of wired me early on to obviously make that decision and come in and have the mindset that I'm going to come in and compete, and I'm going to do what I can. Obviously, I didn't know what was going to unfold a few months or a few weeks really into Beast, and having the opportunity to be a day one starter as a true freshman. Um, Obviously, expectations were high, but in my mind, this is what I'd worked for, and this is what I love to do. I love to play the game of football, and I was passionate about it and knew I had the chance. And like I said, it was up to me to go take it and run with it.
Look, I'm gonna be trying to be nice to you, even though I'm a Navy veteran, okay? But I have to ask, since you were the first ever freshman quarterback at Army, what was it a challenge being in a leadership position, being inexperienced?
It was, for a lot of different reasons, to be honest with you. One is just obviously the credibility. I'm a firm believer in for you to establish yourself as a leader, you got to have some type of credibility. And so I knew that was going to be a process regardless. It's just it's a time thing. But the other part was the dynamic of West Point and how you're considered or how you're viewed as a freshman or a plebe. I mean, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, you know, and so having to turn or flip that switch on and off as I go up to the football facilities to be a starter, to be a leader, but also have to flip that switch off when I get back down to the Corps of Cadets and understand, in a sense, I'm a nobody, right? It was tough. It was tough, but I had some strong upperclassmen around me that supported me, that mentored me and took care of me. So just having that, obviously, as some validation through it helped, but it was tough. It was a learning process and something that I obviously had to figure out a little bit as I went along.
That's good. It's good to hear that you had some, you know, some people that were some seniors, the upperclassmen helping you, because it can be really challenging being what we call the newbie, because it's like they
Yeah,
really do try to
absolutely.
give you a
It's
hard
lonely.
time. Yes, they
Yeah,
try to give you a hard time, and then you're coming in, or you know, maybe taking somebody's feeling like, oh, maybe he's taking my spot, and you have to prove yourself. So I'm glad you
exactly.
had some level of support from your peers. So how did your time at West Point prepare you for life after the military service?
Just the way the academies work. I mean, obviously, from my personal experience, West Point, I mean, it's transformational. It really is. I mean, the process in which they take a new cadet or a plebe and prepare them to lead men and women through the course of the 4 years, it's incredible. I mean, it challenges you in every way, shape, and form. And so having to balance what we as athletes at West Point or football, it's three pillars. You know, it's military, it's academics, and then it's your athletics. And so being able to prioritize your time, being able to manage your time are all key things that you have to learn how to do through your course of your 4 years, or you won't make it. And so that alone has really carried me to life after West Point, through the military, and now into the business world, just understanding what's important in life and being able to prioritize those important things and then let everything else fall in place behind.
What was your biggest takeaway from your time in the service, and how has it shaped you to be the person that you are today?
I wouldn't trade that time in the military for anything in the world. It was the most humbling time of my life, just being involved with those people and understanding what makes them tick to want to make these sacrifices. And so just from a leadership standpoint and having the opportunity to be exposed to so many different experiences as a leader, I think that's what West Point and playing football for West Point has really given me the most and shaped me to who I am today.
Good stuff. Yeah. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, do people know what we're going through? It's funny because it is a lot, especially when you get it through boot camp all the way to career. So we
Hmm.
do want to dive into now the football fandom. We're super excited about the game. So I want to talk about the greatest rivalry in sports. Trent, what does the Army Navy game mean to you?
I think it's exactly what it's known for. It's America's game.
Mhm.
There's a few Saturdays in the fall to where you're going to be able to flip on a football game and watch individuals who are going to go on to serve a bigger and better purpose. And they're playing because they truly love it. When you have that mold of people going out there and playing, in my opinion, the greatest sport there is, it's different. And not to mention just the pageantry involved, the people involved. It's something special and something not many people stop to do on a Saturday. But more times than not, the majority of the world is watching this game. You got to really hold on to keeping that same game mentality, because there's just so much hype and involvement surrounding the game that you can get lost in that a little bit. And so when you approach an Army-Navy game and Saturday arrives, you got to have that just another day at work type of mentality. But when you show up and there's presidents and there's vice presidents and there's four-star generals, I mean, obviously that hits a little bit differently. And then again, just seeing the unreal patriotic scene and giving a sense that you're doing something very, very few people get to do in their lifetime. So try not to take that moment for granted. And so I guess in a weird way, it's just a fine balance. You got to obviously appreciate that moment and appreciate the opportunity of being there, but you also got a mission to do, and that's to go beat the team that you pride yourself on beating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Yeah.
every day of the year.
Well, Trent, as we close here, what is your prediction for Saturday? We already know who's going to win, but
Oh
we just
my
want to
gosh. Get over
from your
it.
point of view, how this is going to go down.
It's always a low scoring game, just the nature of the beast. Might be a little bit different with Army's new spread offense. It'll be interesting. But I'm going 24-14. Go Army.
Terrific, terrific. Well, we want to thank you, Trent, on behalf of the Paramount Veterans Network, and we want to thank you also for your time today and speaking with us about America's greatest rivalry. Thank you again. Quarterback, Trent Steelman, everyone.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, Trent.
Absolutely.